Welcome to another Patty Stamps video. This is Patty Bennett with PattyStamps.com. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I've been a demonstrator for over 20 years, and I just have to tell you, this is one of my most favorite card designs ever. I was over at my friend Cindy's house. You've heard me mention her before. She is an amazing stamper, and she and I made this card together. And at first I thought, oh my gosh, this looks so complicated. It looks like you must have to put a circle die on the big shot and run it halfway through and roll it back. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can make this. And then she showed me how easy this is. You're gonna love this. So this is how it opens up. Isn't that cool? So then you can write your message down here, and then this folds back up and that flap covers it. And so really all it is half of a piece of cardstock scored twice and a hole punched in it. So I'm going to show you how to make that, but I just thought it was so funny that I was kind of dreading it, and it turned out to be so easy. So before I show you how to make it, I'll just show you a couple of others that I made. These are the two that I created with the Botanical Gardens Suite. This is the one I made with Cindy, and then I made this one later by myself. So it has the botanical framelits cut out here and layered, and then some more of the beautiful paper and a little stamped greeting inside. And then this one, I love this with the birthday blossoms. I combined actually the stamp set and the paper and the other die with the big rose. I used the leaf there of that die, and I put it under a flower that I cut out. So kind of a lot of different things going on this card. And I have a little tip for you, so don't let me forget to tell you this. See how this one is kind of catching a little bit? So you really need to make sure that you put your circle, punch circle down just a tad so that this opens just a little easier, because you don't want it getting caught like that. So it's always good to learn tips when you don't do it quite the right way. And then this one I used the Have a Cuppa, and it's a paper, die, and stamp set trio. So I have those cute teacups there, and then some hearts on the inside, as well as these die cut hearts here, and then the die cut teacup. And you see how that spoon kind of glimmers? I die cut it out of Whisper White, and then I used the gold wink of Stella, just brushed it on there, and it made a beautiful little gold spoon. So very cute. You can use this design with any stamps or papers. So let me show you how to make it. So if you're following along on my blog, you'll find this already in the blog post that coordinates with this video. If you're only viewing this on YouTube, be sure to click up here to go to my blog post, and you'll find this handout that will give you the dimensions and all of the instructions for making this card. So this is just one version. I've actually done two different versions, so I'm going to go over both options with you. The first one would be if you're just using an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock and cutting it in half, and that will give you two of these cards. But I also got out my 12 by 12 paper and cut it in thirds to make 3 cards. So I just want to show you both options. So the first one that we're going to do is just the 8.5 by 11. So you take your 8.5 by 11 cardstock and you cut it in half at the 4 1/4 mark. And on the instructions I said the tall way, or you can call it the portrait version, whichever you want to say. So I'm just going to trim it in half, so I have 2 of them. And then you're going to score it at 4 1/4 and 8.5. And don't forget that the scoring blade is the lighter colored one on the Stampin' trimmer, so make sure that you move this cutting blade down out of the way so that you don't cut your paper. So 4 1/4 and 8.5. Okay, and if you wanted to do both of them together, you could score the whole piece first, but I was just showing you how to make one. Then I also have the dimensions there for cutting your designer series paper, and one piece is going to go here The 4x4 piece will go on the 4¼ inch square flap. And then when this part comes down, your other piece, your smaller piece, will go up here. So all of those dimensions are on the handout. I'm just going to take a moment here and adhere them with my fast fuse. So I have them adhered with fast fuse, and I want to make sure that I use my bone folder to reinforce those 2 creases. And if it buckles a little bit, you can just sort of reinforce the folds there. Okay, so you can pick any coordinating papers that go together, or you could do a stamped image on some Whisper White. Doesn't really matter. Then you're going to open it back up, and you're going to use your 2-inch circle punch. Turn it upside down so you can see what you're doing. And you're going to basically center the circle on that score mark. I pushed it all the way in, and then just punch so that it gives you a hole. So that's going to punch out of it, and there's going to be the hole. And then you're going to need a 2-inch circle out of a color. I am going to do Mossy Meadow, and then a 1 3/4 inch circle. I'm using white because I will probably stamp this image. So these are going to get layered together. Now I would probably stamp the image first, just, to make sure that I don't mess it up, but just so that you can see how this goes together. I'm going to go ahead and layer those together, and then that piece is going to sit right here. But that tip that I was telling you about, so that it doesn't bind when you open and close it, I am going to actually push it down a little ways before I adhere it, so that you have just a tiny little gap up here and it clears easier. So I'm going to just put my adhesive here where it's going to get stuck. And if you just leave this tiniest gap up here and stick that on, then this piece is going to open and close much nicer than if it got kind of stuck there. And then you can just go ahead and embellish it any way you like. You can see on this one I did some stamping on the circle, and I added washi tape and other designer paper and the die cut flower. So really just any way that you want to embellish these, they're just beautiful. You can use any different color combinations, stamps, papers, etc. So now let me show you how to do it out of the 12x12. So this is the instruction sheet that I have for you for cutting 3 of these cards out of a 12x12. And I'm just going to follow the instructions that I have at the bottom there, and that will give us 3 cards. So the first thing it says to do is cut 1½ inches off. So I will just move my scoring blade and cut 1½ inches off. And then it says to score at 4 inches and 8 inches on the short side. So that would be the same side. So I am going to put it at the 8. Move my cutting blade. I'm going to, oops, there we go, score it at 8 and at 4. And then you're going to turn it 90 degrees, and you're going to cut it at 4 inches and 8 inches. So there you have 3 cards, and they're basically just like the one we just made. They're just 1/4 inch smaller on each of those squares. So it still totally works, but it allows you to get 3 cards out of 12x12 cardstock if you have extra 12x12 cardstock that you want to use. And so you would still just do the same thing where you punch the 2-inch punch. And of course you could even do a smaller circle since this card is just slightly smaller. And then you would fold up the larger piece and fold down the smaller piece. and then decorate them and do the same process as the other one. But I just thought you might like to see that if you had some extra 12 by 12 paper that you wanted to use up. So that's it. That's how easy it is. I hope you'll make some of these. I just think that they're really fun, such a cute design, and I think that the recipient will really enjoy this and probably think like I did that they were more work than they really were. So have fun with this. If you need any of the supplies, be sure to click Shop Online up at my blog link right up here, or if you're on the blog post, then you've already got all the supplies listed down below in this post. Have a great day.